But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll never stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Unscripted here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm your host and producer for this show, Logan Landers, and joining me are my co-hosts, as always, Jay McLevin. What's going on, Jay? How you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing well. And I said it in the last show. I'm going to say it in this show. And Victor Wembanyama's got 38 blocks in the month of February, which is more than 9 or 10 other NBA teams combined. Give this man Defensive Player of the Year, please.
And as always, our resident stat guy, Dustin Reese. What's up, Dustin?
I love how we're talking about football, even though baseball's starting. Seems a little backwards, but hey,
Me and Jay talked about baseball the other week. We talked about spring training and whatnot, and once it gets back into the regular season or if some bigger news breaks, of course, we'll be into it. But as you know, football has pretty much become a year-round sport, it feels like, with that, the games, and then also the free agency and media coverage. So it really has taken on a life of its own. But as you said, we're going to be talking today about a couple running backs who, as of a report, said that they will not be getting franchise tag. The list is, as you see here, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, and Austin Eckler. Before we get into it, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, like, follow, share, and subscribe, please, on our social media channels on Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. And also go and check us out on LinkedIn if you want to connect with us, chat with us on a professional level. And also if you want to be a part of the network, we are accepting applications for a multitude of different positions like hosts and social media and whatnot. So if you want to help out, that's the way to do so. Just shoot us a DM and we will get back with you as soon as we can. So what we'll do here, guys, we'll just kind of go down this list here one by one, talk about these players, and more so determine if they should go elsewhere, if another team will sign them, or if they go, I'd say, more the boring route of just getting re-signed with their team on a new deal. So we'll just start off first. Dustin, we'll have you go things to start there with Saquon Barkley, who, as we know, has been in some contract disputes with the Giants in recent years, and now it feels, like right now is it's high noon for them. You gotta do something. You gonna bring him back, or is he end up gonna go somewhere else?
Well, when it comes to the Giants, he is their offense, and I think the Giants are having buyer's remorse now with that Daniel Jones contract, because you gave Daniel Jones that contract. Chances are you're not going to be able to bring Saquon back this year because of what Daniel Jones is taking up in terms of the cap space and then what Saquon's going to want. Granted, he's only expected to get $9 or $10 million per year, which I think that's a little bit low for him. But when you kind of look at how the running back market's gone the last couple of years, that's still good money for a running back, even though I think he's worth more than that. But his injury history could be a big reason why he's only supposed to get $9 or $10 million. In terms of his fit, I don't think he's back in New York. I don't think there's any scenario at all where even if the Giants wanted him back, he would go back there, because I think he's getting to that point in his career now where he doesn't want to carry a team anymore. He wants to go to a team where he's a complementary piece and can go to an offense that can help him win. And there's a lot of teams out there that would take Saquon Barkley. Like the Chicago Bears would take Saquon Barkley. Pretty much any team that's in a rebuild but is getting close to the point of getting out of a rebuild would take Saquon Barkley. But the one team to me that has now been mentioned with Saquon Barkley makes a ton of sense is Minnesota. You have a guy in Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison. You have those three receivers. You're still uncertain what you're going to do with Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position. So let's just say Minnesota would draft a rookie quarterback. Having Saquon Barkley in that backfield with Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson would be huge for that Minnesota rookie quarterback because it gives him another playmaker to lean on so he doesn't have to do everything himself.
Well put. Jay McClellan, does Saquon stay in New York or does he go elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm gonna say he goes elsewhere, and pretty much just to echo off of what Stat Guide said with a little bit of a twist. Yeah, they're not gonna, because of Daniel Jones' contract, New York's got to save a little bit of money, and at the same time get a little bit younger at that. And when I say younger, I don't mean like age-wise as much as I do physical-wise, because when you tear up knees the way Saquon's tore up knees, you may be in your 20s, but my brother, you are really technically in your 30s when you have jacked up your knees to the level at which Saquon has jacked them up. But to say that, where I see Saquon going, he's got to go to a place where he's not going to be in a Christian McCaffrey role where he's like the guy, like all the time, 30 snaps, whatever it is. He's got to go where he can be a playmaker. He can be in a complementary role to where you can save those knees and get the most production out of that body. And where I see it is to two spots. One, Stat Guy already mentioned, I thought Minnesota's a great spot for that. But secondly, what is good for knees? Warm weather. And where he benefit? Houston Texans, baby.
Ooh.
You heard it here first. Houston Texans. They can use a nice little playmaker to go along with what they already have at Singleton and the other guys in that running rotation where he doesn't have to be the all-time guy. You just pepper him in there in certain situations and let that man do what he does. He can almost be the Kevin Falk of the New England Patriots for the Houston Texans.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I also think he goes somewhere else. Two places I think would be good is, Jay, you mentioned sunny weather. You know where else is sunny? Out in California. You know where in California? Oh, well, there's a guy on this list who currently isn't home to a team, and he is a running back. Why not get him out there to Los Angeles with the Chargers with Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh and company? You know they're wanting to make a splash, so you could put him there. And what I thought of, just for pure fun, what if you put him on the Ravens and have him and Lamar just running down the throats of people? You never know how it's going to go. They just they bring back the running game in football. So
I mean, absolutely. The only downside to the San Diego thing is it goes against what I just said. I think when you put him in San Diego, he's going to have to be the guy. And look, he's already got two bad knees. And what better thing to put two bad knees with other bad knees? And Kyle Allen, or is it Kyle?
Josh Allen?
No, not Josh Allen. The wide receiver for the Chargers.
Oh, Keenan Allen.
I knew it was an Allen. Keenan Allen. You know, and Mike Williams. I mean, those guys got enough injuries already as it is in San Diego. You throw another injury-prone guy over there, I mean, damn.
All right, I got you. Well, let's move on here. We got a few more left, obviously. Let's go to Josh Jacobs, a guy who I would say Dennis Schroeder'd himself in the sense of he bet on himself, wanted to get a contract, a big money contract, mind you, and didn't live up to expectations, we'll say. Right. Much like Schroeder did in the NBA a couple of years ago when he fumbled, what was it, like an $82 million bag for like 16, which don't get me wrong, still great money, but my God, it was like $40 million that he missed out on. But anyways, back on track here. Jay, I'll let you start this one off. Does Josh Jacobs come back home to Vegas or does he go somewhere else?
No, I think Josh is going to stay where he's at. Well, you know, they got that young kid, Logan. I think he came from your squad, right? The Georgia kid coming up behind him.
Oh yeah, White.
Zamir White,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So they got Zamir White waiting in the wings. I think that comes down to what does Pierce think? Does Pierce want to go the younger route, take that money off the books and apply that money elsewhere in free agency? Which if you believe in Zamir White, then I think Jacobs could become a free agent, right?
Yeah.
And if he becomes a free agent, this would be the guy I think that goes to the Chargers and revamps the Chargers when under Harbaugh and gets those guys back under contention.
Okay. All right. For me, I think I would like to see him back in Vegas. I overall, when you look at him, he's had a really good career there. He just had a little bit of a down year last year, and obviously there was a lot of stuff going on that he couldn't really control in a way with, the new quarterback, the new coach. Is just a mess, as always. But if he does not come back to Vegas, Jay, you know where I think he could land? What's a team that also needs a running back, a young team, who needs a running back who's hoping to kind of take that next step?
Well, would it be
any guesses? Carolina. Oh God, no! It ain't Carolina. That's where your career goes to wind down. Look at Adam Thielen.
What was it?
Are you going to suggest Texans?
No, I am suggesting the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, because he was linked to the Bears last year.
Yep.
I don't know though, Logan. They're so log jammed over there right
Oh,
now.
I know.
No, they're actually not. They're actually not log jammed because Travis Homer's a free agent. Dante Foreman's a free agent. Yep. Roscoe Johnson was a rookie last year and didn't get many touches, and Khalil Herbert's in the final year of his deal. So they're really not.
They can make it work.
There. Could you imagine that? What if they let go of? You got to keep at least one out of those two guys.
Of course.
Or you keep the other guy to bring in Jacobs because you don't want to cut all of your running back to bring him in just by himself. So
right.
What would he? And also Fields, I've seen a few more times now where they're talking about Fields being on the move. Could you imagine that they went out and got one of those top branded quarterbacks in the draft and then brought in Josh Jacobs up behind that? Oh, my Lord.
That could be something. Well, Stack Guy, what's your thoughts? Does Josh Jacobs stay in Las Vegas or does he go to a new home?
I think he stays in Vegas. Out of all the running backs on this list, he seems to be the most likely one to stay, mainly because once Antonio Pierce took over for Josh McDaniels, he actually started to use Josh Jacobs again and actually started to use him the way he was supposed to be used. So I think knowing how big of a part of the offense Josh Jacobs played last year, you have to bring him back, especially when you have Aiden O'Connell as your quarterback. Unless you draft a quarterback, you're going to have a rookie quarterback or basically a rookie quarterback still who only played 9 games this year as your starting quarterback next year. You're going to want that reliable running back that you can lean on to take some of that pressure off of you. So it just makes too much sense for Josh Jacobs to go elsewhere. So I think he gets like another 3-year deal to remain in Vegas.
Yeah, that's definitely not a bad suggestion at all. And I think I'm in agreement. I think he'll stay. I hope he stays, but we'll see. All right, next up, this one is I feel like maybe the most interesting because it's you can say arguably the best running back here in his career and throughout his career on this whole list, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry has made a lot of money, made a lot of fans, sold a lot of jerseys in Tennessee with the Titans. We know what he's about. We know how good he is. But we saw in recent years that, unfortunately for a lot of running backs, injuries and father time just kind of catch up to you. So what are we thinking? Stack, I'll let you start this one off. Do the Titans completely blow up their team and start fresh with obviously a new head coach and everything? Or does he stick around as the veteran who stays on, but maybe doesn't do a whole lot for the rest of his career?
Well, when the Titans fired Mike Vrabel, they already committed that they're going to full-blown rebuild. So At this point, I don't think Derrick Henry's back. I mean, you're not going to have Ryan Tannehill. You have Will Levis and Malik Willis as your quarterback, so obviously you don't even know what direction you're going to go from there. You don't have much in your wide receiver front except for Treylon Burks, who's still unproven. And the backup to Derrick Henry last year, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the backup actually played pretty well. Mm-hmm. So at least he's a young piece that you can at least count on. And Derrick Henry kind of entering that age 30 season now. He's dealt with the foot injury, so he's not the Derrick Henry he once was, but he's still going to give you 1,200 yards. He's still going to give you 14 to 15 touchdowns. So he's still going to be a very productive back in the NFL. I just don't think he can take on the load that he took in his career anymore just because of those foot injuries.
Yeah.
I think the perfect fit for him is honestly Dallas. And mainly because Dallas is a pass-heavy offense where Derrick Henry's not going to be expected to give you 30 to 35 carries. You can give him 15 to 20, and I think if he's in Dallas, he'll probably get 20-plus carries still, which takes some of the pressure off of Dak Prescott. But if you put Derrick Henry in that backfield, it makes Dallas less predictable on offense because Dak Prescott's going to throw the ball a lot. But if you have Derrick Henry there, you have a running back that can single-handedly take over a game himself too. So defenses are going to have to plan a little bit different to defend Dallas. And realistically, the one thing Dallas always lacked was a complete running back. When they had Ezekiel Elliott, he was their goal line running back that could get you touchdowns. And then Tony Pollard was kind of that game-breaking running back that could make the big plays. But they never had that one running back that could do both. And Derrick Henry would be that one running back that could do both for him. So I think he ends up in Dallas on maybe a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option.
Okay. All right. And Jay, what do you think, man? What do you think about King Henry?
Yeah, here's my thing with that. I'm in agreement with Dustin. I think he does go to Dallas. I think, Derrick Henry, I know Stat Guy has said that he'll command a lot. I honestly don't. I think Jonathan Taylor was the last guy that we ever see get the $11 million bag. I think Henry falls somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million, $7.5 million a year. I think that's where he fits. I think that's what he deserves given his age. And he does have that nagging foot injury. Look, this is not the first time he's had a foot injury. He has a foot injury every damn season. So there will be games that Henry will miss. And that's the reason why I don't think he gets the full bag. I think he's looking at $7.5 million. I think it's where he gets. And I think Dallas is going to let go of Tony Pollard. I do. And I think Derrick Henry is going to slide in. And I think that Deuce Vaughn for the Cowboys is going to step up. And I think we get the thunder and lightning that I thought we were going to have with Zeke and Pollard. I think we're going to get that thunder and lightning at least for a couple of years with Deuce Vaughn and Derrick Henry. And I think that's where Derrick Henry is really going to shine because he won't have to carry the ball as much. And I think that's going to prolong his knees, his career, his feet. And I think you'll see the best out of him as well. And I think, by the way, he also has a hell of a good offensive line to run through.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think for me, I'm gonna have to go a different route here, and I think the Cowboys are obviously a good fit. But if we had to go with a team kind of outside the box, what about Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay was a team who, if they want to have another, a top running back, because they did not have much of a running game last year. Let's just be honest. If they want to take a chance on him, that's your top guy right there. You could put Rachaad White in the back as the backup. If you wanted to, you could find someone else, I'm sure. But Tampa Bay as we saw, they got a lot further in the playoffs than any of us expected in a crappy division. But still, nonetheless, they made the playoffs and they made a pretty good run at it for a team that wasn't even expected to do a whole lot. So, you could pair him with Baker, who had, definitely a really good comeback year. And as you know, of course, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin on the outside. I know they just got rid of one of their defensive players, Shaquille Griffin, earlier today at the time of this recording. So we'll see. But that's just another team I thought of that desperately needs a new running back in town. So want to have King Henry go out there and do some magic in Tampa Bay. We'll see. Mm-hmm. All right, next guy up on the list, and Jay, we'll let you be the main event for this one. It's Tony Pollard out there in Dallas. And Jay will be the first one to tell you, after Ezekiel Elliott left, Jay was all on that Tony Pollard train. All of it.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all right, though. It's all right. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And Dustin, I'll let you start things off. Does Tony Pollard stay in Dallas, or does Dallas go for a new running back?
And I was kind of like Jay. I was on the Tony Pollard train too, but the problem is the way Dallas's offense is constructed, it doesn't fit Tony Pollard. So it doesn't make him a bad running back. It doesn't make him a bad player. It's just that he doesn't fit the style offense that Dallas runs, which is kind of why his production wasn't where a lot of people expected it to be, because Dallas has gone more to a very pass-heavy offense. It was always a pass-heavy offense, but now they are extremely pass-heavy. And I think that was the main reason why his production slipped. I think he goes to another team that is pass-heavy, but not quite at the level that Dallas is at. I could see Tony Pollard going to Houston and kind of pairing very nicely with Devin Singletary. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Texans had Dameon Pierce last year, who was kind of the surprise of the 2022 season when he was a 7th-round pick out of TCU and ended up running for, I think, 11 or 1,200 yards as a rookie and pretty much did next to nothing last year. So Devin Singletary had to shoulder that role. But you have Devin Singletary, who's more of that kind of pass-catching running back, versus Pollard could be the do-it-everything running back. So I think Tony Pollard would be a good fit in Houston.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think there might be a slight chance he goes back still. I'm still not 100% sold on him, being out the door. But damn, Dustin, you took my pick. I think that he would be a great fit out in Houston. We already saw with, the bright upside that they have with CJ Stroud at quarterback. You don't need a whole lot on the other end of the ball there with your running game, but it would definitely help out with Tony Pollard. And you have him and Singletary paired together, along with the rest of that really good offense, that young offense with Tank Dell and Nico Collins and whatnot. I mean, that's a pretty good that's a pretty solid offense right there. So that's not a bad idea. But let's go to the man of the hour, the man with all the power, Jay McLovin. What's your thoughts on your starting running back from this past season? And do you want him back? And do you think he'll come back?
Yeah. So Dallas is currently $8 million over the cap right now with the 255.4 million cap now that we have. So they're still $8 million over. That's why I think Tony Pollard, another reason why I think he's gone. I think they'll bring in a 2-year deal with Derrick Henry and restructure some of that, maybe in other ways to kind of get under the cap number with Derrick Henry. But I think Pollard is going to go, and I think he's going to go to none other than the team you just mentioned. I got the Buccaneers, because right now the Buccaneers got $10 million in salary cap space. Now, yes, they got to get Mike Evans under contract, but I think there's some room to finagle Pollard up in there with this cap bump now, which would really give them a dynamic runner to go along with those dynamic receivers. And so for that reason, I actually think Pollard fits in very nicely over there at Tampa and gives them that spark on offense. Now, yes, they're going to have to still do some work on that offensive line, but I think Pollard would fit in real nice over there.
Okay. All right. And our final guy up here on the list for the top running backs who are not getting a franchise tag, Austin Eckler out there in Los Angeles. And I'll go ahead and give my thoughts first and kick it over to you guys. He's one of those guys that's really been talked about getting traded or whatnot for quite some time. So I don't think he'll come back. I think that he'll be going somewhere else. Now, where do you ask? This is interesting because a lot of people say they need some help over there. A lot of people say, oh, God, don't go over there, please. And that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they flat out collapsed into last year. We all know what happened. Jay, I know, was smiling while they were falling. But they need a running back, man. They need some help.
DeAndre Swift.
He's in the last year of his contract, though. Think about it.
He'll get extended.
We'll see. I mean, yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know. But if you pair him with Eckler, that's not too bad. That ain't bad. Now, they need some more help, but that's another story for another day. But I think that'd be a pretty good 1-2 combo. And then you see how Eckler does. If he does well, you give him the contract. Really kind of like a battle for that number 1 spot. So that's what I think. And I'll kick it over to you, Dustin. Go ahead.
Well, the thing with Eckler last year, not only was he hurt, but when he did play, he didn't produce at the level he typically does. So that's going to hurt him in terms of what he's going to get in terms of an annual salary. But that's also going to benefit a lot of teams because that puts a lot more teams in play for him. Because if he would have had a typical year that he normally has last year, he would have probably been the top running back on the market in terms of what he wanted for a salary. But now instead of getting his 10, maybe 11 million a year, you might see him get 5.
Yeah.
And the one team that I could see him go to is a team that loves to throw screen passes. A team that had a breakout running back this year, but has 2 running backs that are both going to be free agents this year as well. A team that also just won a Super Bowl. I think Austin Eckler ends up in Kansas City.
Oh, no.
And you pair him with Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, no.
You have Isaiah. Because remember 2 years ago.
The ship was going sky high, and then you said that, and it went boom.
Remember 2 years ago who the Chiefs tried to get? they tried to get Christian McCaffrey, who is a very similar running back to Austin Eckler in terms of what they do. You have Isaiah Pacheco, who is basically your go-to every down back, but he's not the best pass-catching back.
Correct.
Jerick McKinnon was an amazing pass-catching running back, but he's not like your between-the-tackles running backs. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire was kind of that change of pace.
Right.
Eckler would come in and fill that role that Jerick McKinnon had, but he would also be a pass-catching running back. So essentially, you could have packages where both Pacheco and Eckler are on the field at the same time. You could run screen plays to Austin Eckler. You would have another reliable option who actually doesn't drop footballs like most of the wide receivers did last year. Adding Eckler takes pressure off of Kelsey. Adding Eckler takes pressure off of Mahomes. It takes pressure off of Rashee Rice. And last year everyone said the Chiefs were having a rebuild year last year. Kansas City is going to focus on offense or focus on offense this year because their defense is great. I do think Austin Eckler ends up in Kansas City, and I think that's the perfect fit for what Mahomes and Andy Reid like to do on that offense.
Oh, I don't want him there, man. I'm a Raiders fan. I
know you don't want him there, but you can see the fit.
No, I can, and that's what scares me. Jay, do you think he crushes all my hopes and dreams for the next 5 years still?
I think you're safe over there with Pacheco over there with those guys.
Define safe.
I do understand where Dustin – I do see Dustin,
what do you mean safe?
They've
been whooping us for years.
Process, but I'm going a different route. I think, Swift most likely will get signed back to an extension with the Eagles. But if they decide that maybe he just didn't get it done enough for them, I can see Austin Eckler over there with the Eagles for sure. Absolutely. The other team that I also see him with was a team that you mentioned just a little bit ago, and that was the Baltimore Ravens. Logan, I can see him with the Ravens and fitting real nice. He's a small, quick, fiery like guy that could just explode all over the place with that running line. So I think it's either going to be the Ravens or the Eagles. I think would be good spots for him. Both, interestingly enough, are on the East Coast.
That's true. That is true. I think that when you look at Austin Eckler, I think he's as you guys said that good player, just got hurt a little bit, and it's kind of the case for a lot of these guys. Honestly, they were dealing with injuries. They've been injured. All these guys have been banged up. And that's probably a reason why these teams didn't choose to franchise tag them. So I think it'll be interesting, though. Are there any other teams that are out there you think that could use any of these guys' services? I know we mentioned the Vikings. I think that's definitely one who could help out. But I think if you were – I feel strongly, man, about –
you have to look at it this way, though, Logan. If Jacobs goes somewhere else, then the Raiders need a running back. If Eckler goes somewhere else, then the Chargers need a running back. And if Henry goes somewhere else, then the Titans need a running back. So as it sits right now, the 5 players mentioned, their team does need a running back until one of these guys is signed or until they lose one of them. So realistically, you can say that there's 5 teams that need a running back right now, which are the 5 players listed here, their current teams. But then there's also like 7 or 8 to 10 other teams that need a running back. So I would say half the league needs a running back at this point. But you just don't know who's going to need what until these players sign where they're going.
Another team I thought of that could maybe use some help is Pittsburgh. Because
they like Warren a lot.
Yeah, and we don't know.
Warren Harris combo over there. I think they're okay with that. Where they need help is at the quarterback position.
Yeah, they like
that. And that is another topic for another day. As the clock winds down and we are running out of time here. Guys, this has been the top 5 or just the 5 running backs that we've learned who are not getting the franchise tag this upcoming year. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, and Austin Eckler. Drop a comment. Where do you think these guys will go? As always, I appreciate guys, Dustin, Stack Guy Reese, and Jay McLevin for coming on and helping me out. I'm your host, producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy your weekend. Go watch whatever sport's on now. We got some baseball, a little basketball, and have some fun. And we'll talk to you guys again on another live episode. We'll see you guys in just a little bit.